with the goal of eradicating terrorism around the world, an international peacekeeping organization is using unmanned aerial systems combined with Hexagon technology to effectively support humanitarian mandates. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Selex ES Falco tactical UAS monitors the movements of armed groups in the region. To successfully conduct these surveillance operations and reconnaissance activities, analysts must be able to make the best use of the growing volumes of video and other intelligence data provided by the Falco UAS. Based on Hexagon Geospatial technology, Motion Video Exploitation Solution enables Selex ES analysts to handle large amounts of multi-intelligence data from the UAS. Now, these analysts are easily providing immediate data interpretations and advanced reporting to the decision makers in a short time. Ultimately, this solution is facilitating essential situational awareness, enabling commanders to take decisive action based on a greater understanding of the situation, and, overall, provide better civilian protection.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hexagon Geospatial President Mladen Stojic.
Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to be here. I'd also like to welcome all our online guests who are connected online and globally. It's been a great show so far, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of good sessions. I'm super excited to be here today and certainly very happy to share some really cool things that we talked about last year, but we've certainly spent the last 12 months really working on, developing, and so forth. You'll notice a common theme in many of my presentations, and frankly, Hexagon's presentations around change. Change triggers fear. And fear, as we all know, if you ask Yoda, fear is something that can be a paralyzing and really a disabling force. But we have an opportunity when it comes to change, and that opportunity is really a choice to frankly fearlessly experience change. And my session today is really about that, the experience and really the fearless experience associated with change. I'll go through a couple of slides on things I personally like to do, but are frankly somewhat scary at times. Imagine, if you will, a surfer. And really the feeling, if you've ever surfed before, the feeling as you paddle out and you see the swell build up and you're paddling towards that break and you really have to position yourself, as you see this person doing, in the right position as that wave starts moving, so you could take advantage of that wave and move forward and certainly catch that wave. Moving forward, the skier as that person or that individual previews that narrow mountain chute and really has to plan the descent down that mountain. Or the sky jumper, if you've ever sky jumped, that overwhelming fear, you're looking at that light, that green light turn on, and you know it's your time, and you have to make that jump and really land it, right? Or perhaps the deep sea diver. If any of you have done diving before, it's a lot of fun, but that pressure as you drop down and descend, especially if you're doing something like a wreck dive, the intensity, the buildup, that feeling is both scary, but frankly very wonderful. If you've bungee jumped, the nervousness in your stomach, those butterflies building up as you edge closer to the cliff before you make that jump, okay? Or public speaking. I like public speaking, but I also get nervous. And when I first started public speaking, it's certainly very scary. But unfortunately, the fear associated with public speaking has silenced a lot of people who have a very good story to tell, okay? They haven't been able to get over that fear. Let me switch a little to technology, this Darth Vader sort of image behind me here. Technology is also changing very quickly and very rapidly. And with any change, it can be very daunting and also very intimidating. And of course, we're always hearing about these new buzzwords, things like big data, analytics. You'll hear me talk about them, so I do apologize in advance. Internet of Things, and I may create a new couple of buzzwords today. But anyway, we're hearing a lot of these buzzwords, and frankly, we don't really understand how they apply to our day-to-day business. We know we have to move beyond status quo, but we're challenged on how to just do that. And unfortunately, the uncertainties or perhaps the lack of knowledge lead to fear, which of course limits our adoption of some of these really cool things, preventing us from fully embracing something that's very different. I'll hone in on 3 specific areas that I'll weave into today's discussion and presentation, the first of which is big data. Over the years, organizations and agencies around the world have approved budgets to spend a lot of money on content. And just visiting these customers, I know a lot of that stuff just sits on the shelf. The problem is a lot of our customers can't find it, but when they do get it, they don't know what to use it for. All these files are long, alphanumeric strings, and frankly, they just don't make sense. I have a question. Have we become geospatial data hoarders? We're always afraid to get rid of stuff, okay? We're hoarding geospatial data, and we're really preventing others from fully using it and really getting access to it and making wise information decisions from it. Unfortunately, that's prevented us from investing more and ultimately getting new data into our businesses and workflows. We've never seen an explosion like we have now in our industry with all this new content from multiple sources being collected. Everything from UAVs, which are really cool, mobile mapping sensors, oblique imagery, all these cool new microsatellites that we're seeing out there. We've never seen such an explosion in the amount of content and all these new data sources that are being available. But if we translate that to business, okay, we look at whether it's national mapping agencies or engineering firms, they've honed their workflows down over many years. But when you inject a new source of content into that workflow, it really becomes problematic on how to maintain your productivity and operational efficiency while leveraging that content into a workflow, okay? And that's a problem. A lot of talk about analytics. And I think we have to step back and look at analytics and really ask ourselves what it is. As we all know, we're always, including myself, we're always being asked to do things better, faster, and still come out with the best result, right? When we talk about analytics, and I'll hone in on the geospatial element of analytics, we have available to us a tremendous amount of operators, raster operators, vector operators, non-spatial operators, and so forth, but we don't know what to do with them. And I think we've spent too much time talking about operators and not enough time talking about how to communicate the results of an analytical process so it ultimately makes sense. And we certainly need to overcome these fears and overcome our inability to leverage geospatial analytics with communicating those results to other people so that we can leverage the power of multi-source content and ultimately extract information that makes sense. So I've quickly and briefly introduced you to the situation, fears, excitement, and so forth. Last year at this conference, we introduced something we called Project Windmill. It's codenamed Windmill. And I'm asking the audience and the industry at large to join us on a transformational journey, which really entails a fearless experience as we learn how to overcome some of the issues, obstacles, and ultimately the fears that have prevented us from fully exploiting fun, dynamic, and experience-filled applications. The reason we chose the concept associated, or perhaps the analogy associated with the windmill, and if we step back and look at that story, the wind is a raw kinetic source of energy. And the windmill, and particularly the wind turbine, transforms that raw kinetic source of energy into power, something that's very, very useful, that powers our world and so forth. Let's apply that concept or that analogy to the geospatial industry. What is the wind? The wind is content. It's everywhere, right? The windmill is the software, the engines that transform that content into information that's powerful, that drives our world, that helps us make smarter decisions so we could move forward and move ahead. Okay? That's the concept associated with Project Windmill. And at this year's conference, you're going to hear us talk a lot about the windmill and how it relates to the industry and how we're moving forward. To do this, we rely on our partners. As an organization, we are truly partner-driven and focused. We have over 150 partners around the world focused on solving local problems with Hexagon Geospatial's solutions. Our partners, you, are an extension of our family, and together we are working to make sense of our dynamically changing world. Partners extend our footprint globally, focusing on those local solutions with our platforms in order to develop and build creative, meaningful solutions with our technology stack. Today you'll look at a lot of new developments that, frankly, we couldn't have done without the support of our partners, whether they're content partners, technology partners, regional partners, solution partners, and so forth. Let's start with what we did last year and what we announced last year. That was the Power portfolio. This is our complete and comprehensive geospatial platform for building enterprise geospatial solutions. This constitutes and really includes all of the geospatial genres associated with GIS, remote sensing, photogrammetry, and we've tied and integrated and unified those capabilities, not just in the desktop with our authoring products to produce content, but throughout our stack, throughout the portfolio. So the desktop products are the producer suite, sorry. They produce geospatial content. Once that content is produced, we have the ability to provide it as content as a service. Once that content is available, we can build very complex and sophisticated and beautiful geospatial solutions that help make sense of that content, delivering information value add. This includes both web and mobile-based capabilities. Today, you will be hearing a lot about how we're extending the power of the Power portfolio in different ways. And you'll hear me talk a lot about the cloud. Specifically, 3 areas I will focus on. The first of which is the ability to access our flagship desktop products, Imagine and GeoMedia, on the cloud. The second thing you'll hear me talk about is this concept and notion of being able to host content online, on the cloud, and deliver it as a service. And then the last thing I'll talk about is the application platform, or a geospatial application platform on the cloud that our partners and customers can use to build applications that deliver an information service. After launching the Power portfolio last year, we were approached by many customers and partners who were very impressed with the depth of capability and functionality within that stack. But given our annual release cadence, which is frankly quite unique, and different changes throughout the year with new releases and so forth, minor releases and so forth, a lot of these organizations that have many instances of these applications have a hard time keeping up with the IT overhead associated with installing new versions, licensing, et cetera, et cetera. Additionally, as these organizations deploy field crews regionally or globally, in fact, they want to be able to access that same capability. Okay, so we were approached with partners and customers with a request. I want to be able to use Imagine and GeoMedia online. After assessing the challenge, we've identified a way to solve this problem. Okay, and at this year's show, at this year's conference, I'd like to announce the availability of Producer Online, which basically includes Imagine Online and GeoMedia Online. Here you'll see a quick demonstration of Imagine Online. Going to our store, our website, you'll be able to preview the capabilities available with these online products. If you're new to these products, you'll be able to explore the various workflows and capabilities available by accessing such a system online as a subscription. Once you've identified what you like, you could certainly try it, but once you've identified what you like, you sign up, and by signing up, we will activate through the cloud your ability to access both Imagine and GeoMedia Online as a subscription service. Okay? Once activated, you'll get an email. Once you get that email, you'll be able to select your ability to activate the account, and then that launches a process. Okay, and I'll explain what that does. Once you activate, a request is sent to the cloud. That request sends Imagine and GeoMedia and ultimately pages that product to your local machine, your local desktop. It subsequently uses the local computing resources available on your desktop and allows you to execute the product like that. Now, I've missed one thing, and it's a very important thing: data. Do I have to put my data on the cloud? No. We recognize the sensitivity associated with many geospatial data assets. For that reason, we've come up with a very clever and unique solution that allows you to page and consume both Imagine and GeoMedia online through the cloud while using your local computing resources, but allows you to use your local data. You don't have to put your data on the cloud, and that's pretty cool. Given the geospatial depth of the Power portfolio, many of our partners and customers often build very unique solutions that solve mission-critical problems. And using the platform suite, we offer both web and mobile-based solution frameworks for building those solutions. This includes solutions in areas such as defense intelligence, government, natural resources, mining, oil and gas, transportation, and more. I could show you many examples, but I'll focus on one pretty cool one that we were working on together with Intergraph Government Solutions, IGS. Okay? And this is an example showing the power of what's possible with the platform suite. But let me give you some context. Many decades ago, multiple sources of content were used to basically identify, annotate, and share intelligence. If we recall what happened during the Cuban Missile Crisis, something called an ELT, an electronic light table, was commonly used to take photography, lay that photography out, and look at that photography to look at trends, activity, measure things, annotate things, share things, create maps, etc. That was a pretty cool thing because it helped solve what happened as a result of the Cuban Missile Crisis. But the process is very labor-intensive and really requires a lot of hours of work going through all these archives of photography, etc. With the digital revolution, things have changed. Okay, we've now moved from the ELT to now what we're calling the GLT, the Geospatial Light Table, which is now a web-based application that gives you the power of an ELT, but all in a browser. And let's look at that. Using the power and flexibility of our platform suite, we now have the ability to connect to multiple sources of content, pull those content and synthesize those data sets in a web browser, and do all the things you were able to do both with a desktop application and traditional heavyweight applications built for this particular purpose. We have the ability to directly tap into the metadata associated with these data sets and conduct very accurate photogrammetric measurements against this content. Okay, so we can pull the content, we could connect to many different content stores, we can pull that content, select it, and ultimately exploit that content within a web browser. Here you can see an example of just placing points onto your surface and measuring things. But beyond that, let's look at analytics and applying geoprocessing in the same environment against these multiple sources of data. We could connect elevation sources with raster data and look at things like line of sight analysis. Okay? So this is the power of moving beyond the ELT to a web-based GLT, allowing us to connect to multiple sources of content, not just look at it, measure on it, annotate it, but really apply analytics against it so we can get more value, more information from these very diverse data sources.